Most people who go broke weren't broke to begin with. That's the part nobody tells you. They had the money, they earned it, they held it, they felt it in their hands. And then, quietly, it left. Not because of one dramatic mistake, not because the market crashed or a business blew up. It left because of things they were doing every single day that felt completely normal, responsible even. And here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of it. Building wealth is actually the easy part. Keeping it is where almost everyone falls apart. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what separates the people who stay wealthy for life from the ones who peak and then quietly collapse. And I'll be honest with you, at least two of these habits are going to sting a little because you're probably already doing the opposite. But before we get to the single habit that destroys more wealth than anything else, and I mean anything, more than bad investments, more than debt, more than any crash, I have to tell you something first. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, and one of the strangest things I've learned is this: wealthy people are boring. Not in personality, in behavior. You've seen the thumbnails, the rented Lamborghinis, the watches, the I made $4 million in 18 months screenshots. That's not wealth, that's a performance. Real wealth, the kind that survives decades and doesn't vanish the moment the market sneezes, looks nothing like that. It looks like a guy in a 10-year-old car who hasn't logged into his brokerage account in 3 years. It looks like the neighbor who worked the same ordinary job for 20 years and somehow retired early with everything paid off. The habits that keep people wealthy are almost insultingly simple, but simple and easy are not the same thing. Let's count them down, and if this is useful, a like genuinely helps it reach more people. Alright, here we go. Habit number 1 goes against almost everything the culture is screaming at you right now. People who stay wealthy are obsessed with the true cost of looking wealthy, not in a cheap way, in a precise way. They've actually done the math on what image costs them, and the number is frankly terrifying. Think about someone you know, a cousin, a coworker, someone in your circle. They got the promotion, the income jumped, and within 6 months there's a new car, a new apartment, a new wardrobe. Income went up 40%, lifestyle went up 60%. That gap has a name: lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent tax that quietly eats high earners alive. The income grows and the wealth somehow never does, and they can't figure out why. People who stay wealthy treat a raise like it never happened. They keep living on what they were living on before, and they let the difference pile up somewhere boring: an index fund, a plain brokerage account doing quiet, patient work. This isn't deprivation, it's leverage. Because a few $100s a month, invested consistently over a couple of decades, doesn't just add up in a straight line. It compounds into something several times larger than the raw dollars you put in. The math on restraint is genuinely extraordinary. Most people never get to see it because they spent the raise before it could ever grow. Habit number 2 is one wealthy people almost never say out loud because it sounds cold. They are ruthlessly selective about the money in their relationships. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Your financial life is not fully your own. It's quietly shared with every single person you feel obligated to. The friend whose loan always becomes a gift. The relative whose emergency is somehow always your emergency. The social circle where keeping up is the unspoken price of belonging. The people who research long-term wealthy households keep finding the same pattern. They have clear, sometimes uncomfortable boundaries around money and other people. Not because they're selfish, but because they understand that generosity without any structure is just erosion with a friendly face. This doesn't mean you stop helping people. It means you help in a way that doesn't require you to quietly rebuild yourself every time someone else's life falls apart. The wealthiest people you'll ever meet have figured out the exact amount they can give and still stay whole. That number is specific, it's not emotional, and they hold the line on it. Habit number 3 is about what wealthy people do when nothing seems to be happening. And this might rewire how you think about money entirely. The most powerful financial moves are usually the ones you don't make. Staying, holding, not reacting. In a world engineered to make you feel like you're always one decision away from either a breakthrough or a disaster, the discipline of doing nothing is worth more than almost any clever strategy you could name. The investors who quietly do best over long stretches are often the ones who barely look at their accounts. Not because ignorance is a virtue, but because checking creates the urge to act, and acting out of anxiety is what kills compounding. Every time you sell in a panic, switch on a whim, or rebalance because your stomach hurts, you're paying a tax on your own emotions. People who stay wealthy learn to treat volatility like weather. You don't panic because it's raining. You don't sell your house because January was cold. You let it pass. Habit number 4 is the one nobody wants to hear. People who stay wealthy spend money on financial knowledge and good advice the way other people spend on entertainment. Consistently, without resentment, and long before they think they need it. The average person only calls a professional after something has already gone wrong. The wealthy person keeps the relationship maintained. Someone who understands their whole picture, who reviews things once a year, who finds money leaking out of places they didn't even know were leaking. This isn't a luxury. The average person quietly loses a real chunk of money every single year just to preventable tax inefficiency and unnoticed fees. That's not a rich person problem, that's a knowledge problem wearing a tax form. The people who stay wealthy understand that money is a skill, and skills need maintenance. You don't quit the gym the second you get in shape. You don't cancel your insurance the second you become a good driver. The maintenance is the strategy. Quick pause, because this next stretch is where it gets uncomfortable. If you're finding this useful, drop a comment and tell me which of these habits you already practice and which one just made your stomach drop a little. I read them. Okay, back to it. Habit number 5 is the big one I promised, the single habit that wrecks more wealth than anything else on this list. Wealthy people have a completely different relationship with certainty. They've genuinely accepted, not just nodded along to, but actually accepted that they will make bad financial decisions. That some bets won't pay off. That the future simply is not predictable, no matter how much research they do or how many experts they ask. That sounds obvious, until you watch what people actually do. They pour most of their net worth into one thing because they're sure. They borrow heavily against everything for a business because the numbers definitely work. They try to time the market because this time feels different. Almost every story of financial ruin at every income level has the same architecture. Overconfidence, a bet too concentrated in one place, and the seductive feeling that certainty is available if you just know enough. People who stay wealthy spread their money out, not because they think disaster is coming, but because they know they don't know. That humility isn't a personality trait. It's a learned discipline, and it's worth more than any product anyone will ever sell you. Habit number 6 is the simplest thing in this entire video. People who stay wealthy check in with their money the way healthy people check in with their body. Not obsessively, not anxiously, but regularly and intentionally, with a clear picture of where everything actually stands. A quick monthly look at the big number. A yearly sweep through the recurring expenses. An occasional glance at the boring infrastructure, the insurance, the emergency fund, the stuff nobody finds exciting until the day they desperately need it. And here's the quiet trick. They've removed the fear from looking, because they've built things so that there's rarely anything catastrophic to find. Wealth isn't a statue you build once and admire forever. It's a living thing, and like anything alive, it needs a little attention to stay healthy. Habit number 7 is where the truly boring magic lives. People who stay wealthy automate the good decisions, so their willpower never has to show up. They know something important about themselves, that a tired, stressed, end-of-a-long-day version of them will make worse choices than the calm version who set the plan up. So they take that tired person out of the equation entirely. The saving happens automatically, before the money is ever seen or spendable. The investment goes in on a schedule, rain or shine, whether the news is scary or euphoric. They don't rely on feeling motivated, because motivation is unreliable and they know it. They build the good behavior into a system that runs without them. It's the least glamorous habit imaginable, and it quietly does more heavy lifting than any brilliant insight ever will. Habit number 8 is one that looks almost lazy from the outside. People who stay wealthy keep a genuinely large margin of safety. More cash sitting there than seems strictly efficient, less debt than they could technically get away with. A cushion so thick it almost looks like a waste. And spreadsheet people love to point out that the cushion isn't optimized, that the money could be working harder. But here's what the cushion actually buys. It buys the ability to never be a forced seller. The person with no margin has to sell at the worst possible moment, when the market is down and the emergency is real and the timing couldn't be worse. The person with a fat cushion gets to wait, gets to say no, gets to catch opportunities that only appear to people who have dry powder when everyone else is panicking. The cushion isn't inefficiency, it's staying power. And staying power is the whole game. Habit number 9 separates the people who look rich from the people who are rich. They buy assets instead of identity. When money comes in, most people reach for things that announce their status and quietly lose value from the moment they're bought. The car, the watch, the upgrade nobody asked for. The wealthy person's instinct runs the other way. When money comes in, they reach for things that pay them back, that grow, that produce more money while they sleep. It's not that they never enjoy nice things, they do. It's that they've learned to feel the difference between an expense that performs their success to strangers and an asset that quietly builds it. One drains you every month, the other feeds you every month. Same money, opposite direction. And habit number 10 is the one that ties every single thing on this list together, and it's the hardest one to fake. People who stay wealthy think in decades, not in quarters. Everything we've talked about, the restraint, the boundaries, the doing nothing, the humility, the automation, the cushion, the assets, all of it only works because they're playing a game measured in years, while most of the world is measured in weeks. They're not trying to get rich by Friday. They're not chasing the thing that's hot this month. They've made peace with slow, because they understand that slow, repeated 10,000 times, becomes unstoppable. The patience is the multiplier. It's the thing that turns every other habit from a nice idea into an actual fortune. And it's the one thing no shortcut, no hack, and no lucky break can ever replace. So here's what you now know that most of the people around you don't. Staying wealthy was never about making more. It was never about finding the perfect investment or timing the perfect move. It's about 10,000 small, boring decisions, all pointed in the same direction, repeated so many times that the direction itself becomes who you are. The people who lose their wealth mostly weren't unlucky, they just never built the habits that hold it. And the people who keep it for life, the quiet, boring, unbelievably free ones, most of them started exactly where you are right now. They just decided to do things a little differently, and then they kept deciding it every day until it stopped being a decision at all. Quick reminder that I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice, just the patterns I keep seeing in the people who never lose it. If this one hit different, a like and a share genuinely help, and I'd love to know in the comments which habit made your stomach drop. I'll see you in the next one.